And that's kind of what I want to start a conversation about. I don't want to come in here and say, we're the museum, come and talk to us. I want to know, are people interested in engaging with these collections? If so, how, in what way? What can we do to make that easier and to make this information more useful for the ways that people in Borneo today want to use it and to engage with these collections? So yeah, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about what that relationship would look like. Yeah. So that will be later this week. I've been there as a tourist in the past, but hopefully going to go and talk to them later this week, yes.
Any more questions, please? Yes.
This question is from Daily Express, David. So he wasn't able to be here, so he sent the question to me. To your knowledge, would the British Museum consider returning all the looted artifacts and war trophies that were obtained by soldiers, collectors, and they are being claimed by countries in Africa and Asia to their countries of origin?
So that is a good question.
Apparently, the British Museum has returned some artifacts to Africa in the recent past.
So the British Museum actually is governed by a law. There is a special law called the British Museum Act, which forbids the museum from getting rid of any of its collections. So at the moment, it would require the government to change the law to allow the British Museum to do that. So they've sent some things on long-term loan, certainly, but at the moment, that's the situation. So I cannot speak for what might happen in the future. As I said, I am quite new to the museum, but it's certainly a topic that is in the news a lot in the UK, and it's very heated debate going on about whether the government should make any decisions about that.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Question? Because Professor Danny Wong has seen the Borneo collection in the Woolly collection in the British Museum as part of our research, and they're in pristine condition. It's like it was made yesterday. So I think there's the other side of it, that so long as they're accessible, that our researchers can go there, and look at them, and consult or whatever, or make, For us, I was a museum person, I think it's fine. They keep it perfectly well. I can't say that about ourselves if those things get repatriated here.
I do agree.
Another museum.
I have been looking at this for a long time. Repatriation is not the answer. What we have is rights of use and access. You can be long distance. We're talking about globalization, which is basically what it is. You could be anywhere and have rights and access. And digitalization is actually one of the way forward. But actually, when you talk about museum objects, to actually look at it. And I don't think here, repatriation coming to South, I don't think we have the facilities yet. Never mind that you had the staff, you had the money to actually look after it. It's not simply just putting objects on there. And the climate over there in the UK is very different. Here it's humid and everything, and rot sets in very quickly. So it's not so easy. It's one thing to bring it back, another looking after it. Just looking after yourself is one thing. Never mind about objects that's outside your body. I think it's very, very clear. And this happens with a lot of other museums as well. They do it here, because sometimes when they go back, it's completely gone because it just rots.
From the pictures, so this is what the items look like?
Yes, these are mostly from the British Museum, but some are from the Cambridge Museum as well in the pictures.
Yeah, it definitely looks better than the one I've seen in my own eyes.
So, you have some objects from this Pitt Rivers Museum.
I don't have many photos.
No, but there were some photos.
Yes, there are some.
So, where is that?
The Pitt Rivers, it is part of the University of Oxford.
I see, so it is in Oxford.
Yes, it's in the centre of Oxford. Yeah.
Check it out.
And it's amazing. It's really, they have a lot of stuff on display as well. Definitely worth a visit, I recommend.
But would you say some of the objects that, the idea was they were collected in Borneo.
Yes.
But there's no real knowledge of actually where the origin was, other than the fact of Borneo. It could have come from Philippines,
Definitely.
right? And you know, the person who owned it probably had it in that place for a long
course.
time. So really, there's no set knowledge.
Yes, and there is a lot of incomplete knowledge as well. So, for example, just because Charles Hose bought something in the Baram doesn't mean it was made in the Baram, and the museum curator may have put the Baram because they knew that Hose was working in the Baram. There's a lot of gaps in the information, definitely. Yes.
You did not mention about a very well-known curator of the museum in Sarawak, Tom Harrison. He's got a huge collection of artifacts which we have no idea where it has actually ended up to.
Brunei.
Is that Brunei? Is
Quite possibly.
No.
being sold to Brunei?
He sold, I mean, this is
I
why
think he sold it actually,
I
didn't he?
didn't cover, but he's actually why he was persona non grata in Sarawak because of the
Okay.
things that he did. But anyway, that's
I was going to say, there are more people here who are more expert on Tom Harrison than I am.
I'd like to mention, sorry. Who's talking now?
No, you're talking.
Oh, there's a very, very well-known scientist and author called Ling Roth, who published
Yes.
a two-volume work in 1893.
Yes.
Now, he's actually, at that time, there were no photographs, hardly any
Yep.
photographs available. And there were a lot of line drawings of artifacts, of bones and stuff like of whatever, necklaces, marble, teeth, and so forth. Where are those things? Do you have an idea?
So I know about some of the objects from Sarawak that are in Ling Rock's book, which he actually used quite a few of Hose's collections as his sources, and also Hugh Brooklow's collection, which is in the Sarawak Museum now. But for the Sabah objects, I'm not sure. Val, do you know? No. But certainly he used existing collections at the time as his source, and he did a lot based on Hugh Brooklow's notes. But I would have to go back and have a read through and see if I can identify.
What I'd like to mention is not a question really, it's about Shelford's work.
Yes.
Shelford has collected a lot of artifacts,
Yes.
objects, and being donated to Cambridge University
Yeah.
and so on. He was actually an entomologist who worked on the cockroaches.
Yes.
I wonder if you know about it. His largest collection of cockroaches accumulated in Borneo,
Yes.
particularly in Sarawak.
Yes.
It's actually in the museum in Cambridge.
I have looked through his notes. He has many, Oxford has a big box full of his notes on cockroaches, which I have looked through in great detail, yes. He was.
On cockroaches of Borneo.
Absolutely. But
Very interesting cockroaches, that's what I know about.
But he was he wasn't trained as an ethnographer, but of all the museum curators in Sarawak, he really threw himself into the ethnography as well.
That
So,
was rather interesting.
yes.
Okay, any other questions? Any other comments, please? Right.
One question. Of all the objects of the collection,
Yes.
which one you reckon the most valuable?
Oh. How do you measure value in that context?
Because I've never seen any gold items there, like,
Oh, you mean precious
Oh.
precious stones.
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question.
I think I know the answer actually. I think it's the big diamond on Queen Elizabeth.
If we're talking the colonial collections generally, yes.
Okay, right.
Don't annoy the Indians.
I think the Indians,
But yes, I'm not sure. I cannot answer that one.
It's very China royalty as
That one's, really interesting.
sorry.
The finger.
Okay.
I think everyone.
Yes.
Your turn.
Okay, actually I want to ask about, because I saw just now about documentation, because you never show any documentation regarding British collection about Sabah.
So, books and papers, the kind of archive material. So when I was using the word documentation, I was talking about kind of the museum catalogue. So all of the digital records are originally copied from handwritten books that they have in that back in Hose's day, they would have been copying out by hand. And most of it is still based on those original books. Hose actually came back to the British Museum and he wrote a lot of notes, which I think I showed a quick picture of. So he wrote pages and pages of handwritten notes, which we also have to work with as well. But a lot of the collections, I think they were just sent, they would have had labels stuck to them. So we have a lot of little paper labels, but lots of the original ones haven't survived. So yeah, that's one of the issues with museum collections, that they didn't necessarily write a lot about how they found them, where from. Some collectors did, but yeah, a lot of the time we're working with just a list that might have come in the packaging when they were shipped over, things like that. So yeah, but it really depends on the collection. There's a lot of different ones.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, please?
Do you want us to tell you about these objects?
I'll come and speak to you afterwards.
Because I know where some of them
Oh.
are, and I know what people call it.
Yes, we can have a chat afterwards, definitely. I think Ose has a question.
I want to ask a very unrelated question. We were at the Pitt Museum, Rivers Museum last week,
Yes.
and I took the same photograph of the women weaving,
Oh yeah.
You know the lady weaver?
I think there are some theories about her name. I don't know if maybe the family members might know more about the lady's name. But I would have to go back and look at my notes. But yes, there are some records, but not 100% confirmed about her name.
Okay, if there are no more comments or anything, I think thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
You've all been very generous tonight. The collection is 320 ringgit. 302. All right. So it helps pay for the electricity and the air conditioning. Thank you very much. And
Give the magic box. Can this
didn't come through here, is it? Didn't come through here. So who is passing it?
I think next time we pass 3 around.
Then we'll
There is always anything.
all right, Nick. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. So I'll ask our president, Edwin, to present to you a little token of Sabah Society.
Thank you very much.
Oh, amazing. Oh, so nice. Thank you.